In accordance with the Open Public Meetings Act of 1975, this meeting has been given proper notice in our virtual format for this month. So I hereby call the regular scheduled meeting of August 4th, Franklin Township Historic Preservation Advisory Committee meeting to order. To help with the formalities, instead of doing a roll call, I'll just say who is here for the record. We have Glenn McFarland, Dr. David Weaver, Nancy Hohenstein, Bob LaCourte, and Dominic Stanzione just popped in, and our council liaison, Ted Chief, and staff person, Vince Dominic. So with that, we do have 2 applications that we're going to try and hear tonight, and the first being for 34 Laurel Avenue. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to unmute everybody and hope that that representative for that application is on. I ask if you're not speaking, please mute your mic because these things become very muddy audibly if there's too many people with their microphones open. So let's try this. Unmute all, and then we'll see. Is anybody for the 34 Laurel application here?
Hi, everyone. This is Jesse and Lauren Bassett are here.
Great.
Sorry, we had to call in. We lost power today, so we had to dial in via phone. Okay.
So we're going to try and get through the application to the best of our ability. What I will do is I'll start before I give you the floor and just remind everybody on the line that we had convened a subcommittee to try and review this application in the field since we were unable to hold full meetings. Because it was done by subcommittee, we offered a couple options that were consistent with how the commission has ruled on fence applications similar in nature within Kingston and any of our historic districts. So two options were given in the field, and let me just give you those 2 options really quickly. I'll read them, and then we could go into this application and we could hear from the applicant what they would like to do. So bear with me 1 second as I change gears and get to the thing. Where's the thing? Okay, there we go. I don't know if you can only see my email account or if you're only seeing the application on screen, but that's fine. Okay, so the finding of the subcommittee was to give 3 options for this application. And bear in mind, there has been several fence applications within Kingston that we've dealt with, and these were consistent with the previous approvals. So approval option 1 was the application to be approved with condition that the proposed fence along Laurel Avenue and the length that runs perpendicular from Laurel to Church Street be a 5-foot tall chain link fence or decorative aluminum style fence. Proposed options must not contain any privacy slats. The fence along the backside of the property along Church Street can leave any construction. The top of the fence cannot exceed 6 feet above grade. The second option was the application can be approved with condition that the proposed fence along Laurel Avenue be set 1 foot back from the front face of the house, not including the porch, and extend parallel along Laurel Avenue and extend to Church Street. Again, the fence may be constructed as proposed with 6-foot wood fence along Church, as long as the top does not exceed 6 feet. The third option was that they could come back to the full meeting, which is what we're trying to achieve here today. So now that I gave the background, I will let the applicant give their story and we can hear what they have to say. I know you're not on screen with the visuals, but I do have your application up for everybody to see, starting with the front picture of your house.
Okay, Thank you. Thank you very much. And yeah, and I appreciate everybody taking the time to convene via a virtual meeting. I know these are very unusual times, and all of us are, you know, adapting in different ways. So appreciate everybody's time and hearing our application. Yeah, so we, our original proposal, as you see on the screen there, was to put up a wood fence along the outside of the property, along the end of our driveway. We proposed that it be a 4-foot tall fence, and then the rest of the drawing there you see a 6-foot wood privacy fence. And yeah, and so essentially when we kind of found out about the subcommittee's decision, a couple of things kind of informed our desire to come and have more of a hearing. One is we do really want a privacy fence, and that is largely because of the pretty bad traffic and speeding and things like that to go on Laurel Avenue, and we get a lot of headlights, things like that coming into our house. So we did want to have a privacy fence, so that kind of for us took off the option of doing either the aluminum or the chain link fence. And then the second reason is that we wanted to come back is the reason that we bumped the fence out from the front of the house is we do live on a unique property in terms of the shape of the property, in that it is not a square property. And the majority of kind of the square footage of our property does sit on the side of our house. And having young kids and having a dog, like, we wanted to try to preserve as much of the yard we could in a safe play area, while also setting up some privacy in our yard as well, for the reasons previously mentioned. And so that was the reason we came back. When we were planning it, we were cognizant of kind of both zoning regulations and the fact that we didn't want it to get too close to the road, knowing you know, that would be problematic. And so we were thoughtful about those things in the planning process. So yeah, that's kind of where we're coming from in this.
Okay, so I have on screen right now your drawing that shows the location of the fence. This is a revision from the first application that you sent in, right? The fence looks like it's pushed back further off the road. It's a lower fence.
I did send back in the email response to the subcommittee's decision. I had suggested a kind of a compromise to move it back. I would not measure, essentially it'd be about 12 feet from our original plan, which would still allow us to keep more of the yard. I think if we went all the way back to the where the subcommittee suggested, it would be about 20 to 24 feet back from where we had originally planned, which, you know, for the length of the yard, that's a good chunk of the yard. And so I essentially suggested a compromise of about halfway from our original plan. So I'm not sure if that's what you're referring to.
Yeah, and just for your information, you know, we grappled with your application in the field when we were discussing it because we were very aware of how much of your backyard would be pretty much eaten up by the fence, and the fact that you have an oddly shaped lot on the corner. So we're aware, and you know, we're appreciative of the scenario that you're in with chopping off too much of the front yard gives you no backyard. So just want you to know it's not falling on deaf ears. We're well aware.
Okay.
So does anybody have any questions or any comments? Remember to unmute yourself.
Yeah, hi, it's Glenn. I didn't see the compromise here, and I like it. You know, we discussed in the field too. our objective is to be able to see the facade of the house and the front of the house. And I think, with it being out where it was, I mean, I understood the property and I was okay with that, but I like this, what you compromised there, guys. At least from my perspective, I don't know if any of you are familiar with it, but if you came right off the side of that house, you just might as well almost not do the fence, in that way to get privacy. So for me, I like it, but where were you looking to put gates on this too? I know initially I had just said you'd be cognizant of that because that's the access gates.
Yeah, we were planning a gate for the end of the driveway, and then we were also planning a gate for down by the corner of Church and Laurel.
Okay, so the end of the driveway is the back of the house, not like, oh yeah, okay. And that would be the same material?
Yes.
Okay. That's my take.
Hi, Dominic here. Had you guys considered, when I look at the front of your house, it to me, it really screams for like a picket fence to go across the whole front, including in front of your porch. Had you considered doing like a semi-privacy fence that would still kind of keeping character of the facade? Maybe it's not completely private, but is semi-private. Maybe some landscaping could help, kind of give that kind of character in the front, the curb appeal, and give you more space within the fencing area.
Yeah, so we did, and there a couple things went into that decision for us. One was, like I mentioned, kind of the privacy issue, and that for us is a big thing being on the corner. And then the second piece was honestly just budget, and putting up a fence, that much more fence did significantly increase it. So, those kind of two things led to the decision.
Okay, because you're wanting to go further towards the road, so I don't think it'd be that much more fencing. It would be a different kind of fence, and then maybe you would do the 6-foot fence, along Church Street. I'm just concerned that coming off the corner of the house and angling it towards Laurel is gonna look out of place. That's kind of just my perspective on it. I understand you're trying to gather more of your side yard. I just think that the facade of that building, the angling, looks a little out of place to me.
Dominic, do you think it would help if they came off the corner of the house perpendicular to the house, say for 3 feet, like a gate, and then did the angle, so that at least there was a buffer between the angle and the corner of the house?
I think that could help, because the house is very kind of rectilinear, so I think it kind of continued that line straight out, whether it's 3 feet or 5 feet or so, and then did like a soft angle on it. I think that could help. The other thing I think could also help is you have that 30 feet going back, which is perpendicular to Laurel Avenue. It might look better and be advantageous to you to go perpendicular to Church Street on that angle. It would kind of follow a little bit more the shape of your property and give you, gather a little bit more of that corner as well. It might be a little less harsh as you get to that corner space.
So you're saying the 44 feet along Laurel could actually be extended further to the point?
Yeah, I think you could probably go another I don't know, another section or so there, and then that 30-foot section that's going straight back down. I think that can go perpendicular to Church Street. And kind of, I think it would follow the shape of the property a little bit more, and I think it would make that 44-foot length. If you extend that and then change the angle, I think it would soften that transition around that corner a little bit nicer.
Yeah, I actually agree with that comment. I think that's not a bad idea, Tom. And that gives them more room in their backyard for, if they want a garden or even a shed in the future. There's a corner to put that.
Yeah, to capture a little bit more space.
Yeah.
I will say to some of these kind of comments about just like softening it and the angles and all that, we did mention in our emails back too that we are planning on doing a good amount of landscaping around the exterior of the fencing, cognizant of the fact that like just a bare fence isn't the most beautiful thing to look at, right? And so it is part of our plans to do a good amount of landscaping to really spruce it up as well.
I'm putting on screen now the sample fence. It's a 6-foot dog-eared, pressure-treated stockade fence. So everybody knows what we're talking about. That's being proposed.
Now, would that be the fence that goes along the front? I think you mentioned a 4-foot fence in the front.
No, the 4-foot is just along the end of the driveway.
Between the house and
Between the house and the neighbor's garage.
Can I make a comment?
Please.
Dominic, this is Nancy here. Dominic, I thought that your suggestion was terrific because I'm looking at the shape of the property and there's no right angle there. None, and if the fence is just extended a little bit, you know, further out so that it's 120 degrees, I'm not doing good math right now, but more than 90 degrees, it would, I think I like that idea a whole lot. If this was my property and I had to put the fence up, I think that's really cool. And that would give you more backyard space.
So just so we're clear, because I'm not sure that we're following it, you're suggesting take it further out along Laurel Avenue toward Church Street?
Well,
is that right?
Yeah. Just you see where you have the 90-degree angle where you go back down from Laurel towards Church, that 30-foot.
Yep.
And I don't know if that 30-foot. I haven't installed a fence. I don't know if they come in 6-foot sections or something like that. So 30 is the number. But if you just swung that out, it would be a little bit less fencing in that direction, more fencing along Church Street. And it would almost replicate the angle where your drainage easement.
Yeah, the easement, absolutely.
And I think that would be more unique. I think a 90-degree angle there is just like, nothing special. But I think it's more thoughtful too. And I love that term that you said, soften. I've never heard that term.
And Vince might be able to answer, is there, or maybe even Andrew or Dominic, is there a line of sight, something on this that I'm looking at that it needs to be 48 feet? Or is that within the grade marking up where it says 25 feet, 6 feet, 2 inches or something?
Vince Dominic would have to check into the site triangle requirements for this intersection. But yeah. I think with the fence being set back as far as it is, I like that the porch is now proud of the fence. I think the fence is probably set back far enough where you can make that corner and not be a problem.
Yeah, I agree.
Yeah, as proposed, there isn't a problem with the site distance. If it gets any closer than that, than we had approved or proposed, then we'd have to take a look at it again and have the police take a look at it. But as it was proposed by Jesse and how you approved it, there wasn't an issue.
So,
speaking as someone who comes out of Church Street fairly often, one pulls right up to Laurel Avenue to see to the right. I don't think you're going to be beyond the fence, whatever you do with the fence there.
Yeah.
Because you have to look back down Laurel Avenue to see whether something's coming.
Ted, you're not the one that takes that turn at 80 miles per hour, are you?
It's everybody else but Ted.
I will say that
you don't necessarily have to have that line come further. That 44-foot line could just stop where it is. And if you just take it from that corner and go perpendicular to Church Street, you'll gain a whole corner more of your property. And again, it'll
Dominic, and that's mirroring what they're doing coming off the side there, right? So you're kind of making a three-sided bump. Yeah, I like that.
Yeah, close. Yeah, and
Gives
I
them a
do
little
think that
more
is
space,
a little,
too.
a
Is
little straight section would be nice.
Is my cursor visible? Can you see me moving my cursor?
No.
No.
Okay. So what I'm hearing is, I'm hearing a couple conversations. I just want to summarize really quick. So this is my understanding. I think that the idea of coming up perpendicular to the house for some amount of feet, whether it's 3 feet or 4 feet, whatever, so that it respects the edge of the house. Then it could go on the angle to angle out, so it's between the two trees that are shown on the drawing. And that length, that's 44 feet along Laurel Avenue, as long as it's the approximately 24 feet off the edge of the street there. And we can get an exact number before we satisfy this. You're saying, Dominic, the addition to that is to extend that length that's 44 feet so it meets the length that goes along Church Street so that it comes to a point.
No.
No, it doesn't have to. It could come right from right where the corner of that 44 and 30 feet meet.
Move it out. Yeah.
Just take that 30 foot and make it go perpendicular to Church Street.
Yeah.
Oh, I understand what you're saying now. Okay, yeah.
Yeah.
You'll extend the Church Street line up maybe another section or two, and then just go perpendicular up till you meet that corner right by the tree at the 44 foot.
I got you. So it almost makes it a trapezoidal shape.
Exactly.
Correct. I like that.
And that gives them more room in their backyard and helps satisfy moving the fence back and the other juggling that we're suggesting.
Can we jump in?
Okay. Yeah, just real quick. I had a major branch come down today. That gives you more room around the tree too, if it angles out. Correct? That red line, if it goes out, it gives you, yeah.
Yeah, so the line marked as 30 feet would go perpendicular to the line indicated as 14.
Yeah, it would be 21.2 feet if it goes from the existing blue line out to Church Street, making a right angle with Church Street.
Yeah.
The applicant had a comment or question.
Yeah, I think a couple of things, while we might gain a little more square footage by taking it more out to the corner, it's not really very usable square footage because the fences are coming to a pretty sharp point. And so while officially, yes, it would be more square feet, it's not very usable. And the reason we wanted the fence on the end of the property to go at a 90-degree angle like that was we were going to put along that kind of straight cut back toward Church. That's where we were going to put a gate on the end there. So, yeah, I just think, yes, it does.
You could still put a gate there.
Footage, then it's just not as.
I don't
it's
think
just
it's
not
coming
as
to
usable.
a real strong point. I think our point is that we're trying to make those angles kind of blend a little bit better, because ideally we'd like for that fence to be back perpendicular with the house. So we're trying to kind of help make that angle soften. But I don't think it's coming to a strong point. It would just be a 90-degree at Church Street instead of a 90-degree at Laurel Avenue. So I think you are gaining actual usable space, and still ability to put a gate there that would then kind of point towards the corner.
Are we considering
just trying to soften those lines a little bit so that it looks like it blends better with the architecture of the house and the property?
Jesse, if I can ask you though, the gradient of that property, does that drop off there pretty steep? I mean, does that make a difference?
It does drop off on the corner down there, yes.
I still think it softens it, though. I do agree, Dominic.
Yeah, it blends better.
Yeah. But, yeah, and then you've got the, off the house, like 2-3 feet. Dominic can help you with the landscape on that corner. What would need to be? Yeah.
I'm trying to play with the pencil tool here. I don't know if you guys could see it.
Yeah, that green line was good, Andrew.
Yeah, it popped up.
Yeah, it's coming and going. And then can you draw where the perspective of the gate would be? They're talking about that 90 degree then and having the gate there. And where would we consider? I mean, you've got 12 feet there. You can put it along Church.
Well, I mean,
get double in there.
We can't put it along Church Street. There's a pretty good slope.
Okay.
So the gate would be basically useless.
Yeah, I think the gate would go towards the corner.
Like kind of where I just indicated it?
Yes.
Yeah, I think that would be nice. It's unfortunate you can't see what I'm doodling. It's an awful doodle, but I think it represents what Dominic was trying to say.
Yeah, absolutely.
Glenn, get on your laptop and walk down the street.
Probably. Yeah. My Wi-Fi probably goes there.
And do us a favor, bring them an extension cord too.
Yeah. I've got a few run over the fences in different directions for people. You're welcome.
Do you think, Glenn, can you take a shot of this with your phone and text it to him?
I can.
Yes. I'll have Andrea do that right now.
That way that they can see what we're trying to talk about?
We'll get it to them.
I know this is a completely unorthodox way to have a meeting, but why should we try and do something normal now?
Okay, so the telephone number you guys are at, or don't say that on here, is it on the application? Oh, I think she's looking it up. We got it.
It should be on the application.
Coming your way.
Vince, do you know if the other applicant is on the call?
I don't. I can't tell. It looks like it is because we have 8. If you can ask them to speak.
Yes.
Okay, there you go. Thank you. I just wanted to make sure, see how much time we were taking.
Yeah, and Andrew, just so that you know, because we have a quorum without Bob had a 50-foot tree come on his driveway and the guy's over. So he's out helping him. If we need him to come back because someone leaves, he can come back. I can call him. He'll have his phone.
Okay, thank you.
May I say that I think this resolution shows how a real meeting is much better than a subcommittee visit that doesn't talk to the property owner.
Did you guys receive the text?
It's downloading. Our
Oh, okay.
Kingston is a bit of a black hole when it comes to cell signal.
We're sucking it all up over here. Wilson Repeaters and.
All right, it just came through. We're starting to look at it.
Glenn needs all that power to light the lights on his helipad.
Yeah.
So are you all without power in Kingston?
I think like this.
Correct. There's a tree down across 27 and it hit our side.
Ah. We're without power too.
Mm.
We're looking at it, and I think we like the angle at the end. That's nice, where you drew the circle for where the gate would be down toward the corner of Church and Laurel. We think like the angle is actually more odd on the green drawing toward the like face of the house than the one that we suggested. I think that there are more sharp angles there. That seems harsher to me than what we suggested. And it really is a fairly soft angle when we pull it back, as I suggested in the second version of this.
So where is that coming off the house? Is it at the absolute end of the house? Is it set back in the face of the house? Where is that coming off?
It's set back, about a foot off of the face of the house. Not the porch, but the edge of the house there, because you can see on the drawing how the house comes to a corner and then the porch kind of goes out in front of it.
Okay.
And our thought was to take that angle from there basically over to the tree, so it does look kind of natural
with the tree line.
And that corner would sit basically like where the tree is at, so that it would again kind of soften it.
And we
Andrew, what did you?
We've already
I
planted.
was just wondering, Andrew, the dimension of that. What do you figure? 2-3 feet? It does look like it came out like 10, 12 feet.
I'm doing this freehand with a mouse.
Because maybe we're just getting down to semantics here, but I think just a little bit off that, 2-3 feet, maybe you can get a head in there one day or something, and it gives you that impression.
That's exactly where my thought was.
Okay.
Was no more than 3 feet. Like that would even be a good place for a 3-foot wide gate. And then you plant the bush there, and it helps soften that whole thing up. It's very exaggerated in this drawing. Just like the circle for the gate. That's a pretty big gate.
Yeah, but I do think that angle you have there where that circle is a better angle than going 90 degree off of Laurel.
Yeah,
I think going 90 degrees becomes harsh.
We can definitely agree with that. I think that's right.
Yeah, that's good.
Is that better, Glenn?
Now I see nothing.
It has.
Oh.
Well, I see the old. No, but we understand, Andrew. That's okay.
Yeah.
There's parts of it that are great and parts of it that aren't.
We're going to send you another picture, Jesse.
I don't have any orthogonal snap on this. It's not like that.
Where's Tad at, right?
I can tell you, even if it's a little 3-foot section coming off like that, we're not going to be crazy about it. It's going to look weird. Honestly, the way that we had it drawn is the best option outside of going straight off the side of the house.
We have already planted one green giant arborvitae that will grow up to 20 feet tall, and we plan to plant more so you won't even see the fence.
Yeah, and that gate wouldn't be usable to us there anyway, because we put in a bed there.
All right. Does anybody else have any questions or comments, or want to formulate a motion on this? I guess we should see if there's any public that wants to talk about this, right? This was publicly noticed. Is there any public that wants to talk about this application? Doesn't sound like it. All right, any last comments, or anybody want to make a motion?
I would make a motion to approve it with the changes we're talking about.
Does that include holding off the corner of the house, or if they set back a foot from that corner, we're okay with the angle?
If they do the perpendicular off of Church Street, then come off foot off of the house with the angle, then I think that's okay.
I'd second that.
Nancy, are you trying to talk? You're muted.
Oh, I'm sorry. No, I was just doing a second. I don't see myself as muted.
So let me summarize for the record what we're approving. Starting at the labeled 1.5-story frame dwelling, the fence will start 1 foot back from the front face of the house, extend on an angle towards Laurel Avenue, extend parallel to Laurel Avenue, until it reaches beyond that tree at some point. Then extend perpendicular to Church Street, where Church Street, the fence will run parallel to Church Street until it returns around back to the house. Is that everybody's understanding?
Yes.
Yes, and there would be a gate there. Well, I mean, maybe semantic as well, but they're planning a gate on that turn in with that perpendicular to Church.
The only thing that I would try and have part of this final approval, this motion that I'm amending on the fly, is that we come up with the number that is set back from Laurel Avenue. So right now, the drawing shows approximately 12 feet to that red dashed line. I'm not sure what it is to what the proposed is. Does the applicant have an idea what that is?
Yeah, so I went out and roughly measured it, and this is a rough estimation, but what I suggested was approximately another 10 or 12 feet back from that. So it would be approximately 22 to 24 feet back from Laurel Avenue.
Can we round it to 25 and call it a day?
We could round it to 20.
You want to be sure that it's behind the right-hand tree and in front of the left-hand tree.
Listen, we are invested in making this property stay looking nice. We are going to make sure that it's sitting at the right angle and it will sit behind the tree and not too close to the tree.
So they've done a wonderful job. For what it's worth, a lot of the houses on this street, like ours, are 13, 14, 15 feet from the road. So bringing back 20 some odd feet back there where you're turning into it and not looking at it from the side, I think it's, it's okay where they're proposing there.
Okay, so based on the applicant's testimony, we'll say approximately 24 feet, and it will not be proud of the porch. How does that sound?
Now, I think looking at the drawing, it looks like 22 feet to me, because if the first line, the red line, is 12 feet off Laurel Avenue, the further distance back is a little less than that. So I think the total is probably about 22 feet.
Well, I'm not going to argue over 2 feet.
Yeah.
I just think it's
Whoa.
unless it's for Glenn's helipad.
Yeah, okay.
But I would say let's call it the plus or minus 24 feet because it's dependent on the location of the existing trees.
Okay.
And I think we're all comfortable with that, right? So it's 1 foot from the front corner of the house at an angle to approximately plus minus 24 feet from Laurel Avenue, where it will run perpendicular to Church, and then yada yada yada. So that's the amended motion by Dominic. Anybody want a second?
Yeah, second.
A third.
It's good to have a Kingston contingent seconding. Okay, I'm going to give it to David to keep Glenn's nose clean. So motion by Dominic, second by David. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Any nays? Okay, motion carries. Thank you.
Thank you very much, everybody.
Okay, so Vince, I don't know if I could get the next application up. Let's try.
It's there. It should be. You should be able to go up to the top where it says viewing and then go to the Han garage and see. That's what it's on my screen.
You're right in the center.
Oh, how do you like that?
There you go.
Technology at its best. Okay, so the next application is for Eric Kahn at 5 Church Street. This is for a garage to be constructed on the property. Just like with the previous application, let me give a little bit of background because we have, up on the screen now is their property. We had approved a fence on this property by subcommittee. The fence is approximately, let me get my little pencil. It runs along here. That's one. And then from here back. And it's a very simple split rail fence, very unobtrusive. It's back from the front face of the house. So it met the criteria by approving by subcommittee under the executive orders and all that good stuff. So now the applicant is here to talk about this garage. So let me let the applicant introduce himself, and then we could talk about his project.
Good evening. My name is Eric Hahn. Thank you for taking the time to consider my proposal.
Eric, thank you. Why don't you tell us a little bit about what you're doing here? I know it's pretty simple. It's a garage. Can you see the screen? Are you on a computer?
Yes, I can see the screen. I don't have an option to put a video up for me, but I can see everybody else and I can see the documents being shown.
Great. So right now I'm showing a drawing of the approximate garage. So why don't you just quickly talk us through what you're doing and why?
Sure. We purchased the property and we are interested in putting in a garage for various reasons. We have a young child who is not keen on getting in cars easily. Today was a very of why a garage would be useful for us. We both got soaked trying to get him in a car seat. Also, a place to store tools and, various equipment. Nothing beyond a basic garage use.
Okay. And it looks like from the drawings, I mean, it's got a high roof, but there's nothing in there. There's no second floor. It's just volume.
No second floor. It's just for light and air.
And you have the dormers on there to get additional light into the building.
Exactly. Additional light and also to kind of stage remain to the architecture style of the house as well. Okay.
And what I'd like to do is, there's a picture of your house somewhere in these files. I'll put that up so everybody can see it. It's not this one.
No.
Nope.
Right.
That's the first one. All right. I guess I don't have a picture here.
We saw it. It's two-toned.
Yeah, it's two-toned. It was in the email that was sent out.
Yes, that's correct. It's red and yellow.
So we're gonna obviously this is the first time we're doing a virtual meeting. You're gonna be the guinea pig on what I'm gonna consider a easy but somewhat more complicated than fence application. So I thank you for your description. I'll open it up to the panel and let me know if you have any questions or anything you want to review. Go back to the drawing.
I didn't see on the application, just curious, when was the house built?
The house was built in the 1890s, I believe. Let me double check that.
Okay.
1890s, according to my wife, who is a historian.
Maybe Ted knows better, but was there something else there? I know the church is there. I know they lost the church. They've been looking for the fire department. There's a lot of stuff that could have been across from the cemetery there, but we don't know of anything that would have been there.
I don't know of anything. I know where you're leading with this, though, Glenn.
It's a recommendation, maybe, not anything, Where the house with the blue house directly across from you and back of you.
Hi.
Hi. Welcome. I love
you.
the house. But we undertook a pretty extensive renovation. And before I got into it, I spent a lot of time, as Dr. Weaver could probably tell you, digging little holes in our property, searching for stuff with the metal detector. And we found a ton of stuff. Part of the history with Kingston, if you're familiar with it, there were, back in the Revolutionary War, 10,000 troops that camped out here. there, you know, it was a big hub between Philly and New York for a way station kind of way for what do you call inns and taverns and stuff. It was midway between where you had, you know, they said 400 horses or 40 carriages every single night staying. There's a lot of activity. And one day I can show you what we found in our property. And my only concern here would be, you know, before we get into the details, before you lay a slab, you might want to borrow my metal detector and see, and see if you come up with anything. Because we found coins, bullets, buttons, jewelry, I mean, you name it, bottles, the things that I knew would have been lost, you know, forever, and we have it in the display case here. So, you know, before pouring the slab, you're more than welcome to borrow that.
That would actually be wonderful. That sounds very exciting.
Not good. Any objection, Andrew?
So Glenn, you're not recommending full-blown archaeology? Are you okay?
Not for residential, that's not actually, and that's what I was getting at. If it were a, you know, something that was with the state and whatever. So, no, I don't think there was anything there. That's why I asked Ted. I don't think, you know, that's not warranted. But I would just suggest taking a good look.
Absolutely.
Especially out that back door to the left is usually where they threw their trash. And today's trash is, you know, yesterday's trash is today's treasure. So I'll be quiet.
George Luck might know if there was anything else there.
See what I gotta put up with. See what I gotta put up.
Carry on, Andrew.
What materials are you building the garage out of?
The materials are going to be similar to the house: wooden siding, asphalt shingles. The contractor who's working with me on this should be on the call as well. He can describe a little bit in more detail what we're going to be using. Are you there, Tucker?
Yep, I'm here. So for the siding, we were going to do double 4-inch to match the yellow siding he has on the bottom of the house now. And then all the windows would be wrapped in white trim, ideally a composite material if you guys are okay with that, like an AZEK, just for durability and longevity. And then all the shingles would be asphalt to match the house, the existing house.
What kind of windows are you putting in? Are they vinyl? Are they wood? Are they vinyl clad?
I believe the architect it was double hung vinyl windows.
Okay.
And then you're showing some stone on the bottom. Is that going to be stone that matches kind of what's on the house now, or?
It would be a ledger stone. It would not match the CMU that's on the house now.
So the ledger stone is just a veneer stone, correct?
It's a veneer, yes.
Are the gutters and downspouts, what are they?
4-inch gutters, same as on the house now.
I'm sorry, Vince is loud. Are they half round or are they K section or?
K.
Okay. Is that what's currently on the house?
Yep.
So you're actually doing wood siding that matches the house. You're doing asphalt shingles to match the house. You're doing gutters and leaders that match the house.
Yep.
Vinyl windows, which is okay because it's an outbuilding. And what style are the garage doors going to be?
I'm sure that's been determined. Hold on one second.
Can we go for the shingles? The shingles that are on there, aren't they like a scallop decorative right now, kind of? Or are they, what type of shingle for the roof are you looking at?
Shingles right now, they're not scalloped. 2-tack shingles. It's hard to tell in this picture.
But you were planning to do what, an architectural or something, or single tap, or?
Well, I know it's not 3-tab. It could be single tab. Whatever's on the house right now is exactly what we're going to put on the garage.
That's good.
Okay. And I'm sorry, before Glenn rudely interrupted, the garage door, is it to be determined?
To be determined, yes.
Okay. Vince, does this meet the requirements of zoning with setback and so forth? Vince?
Yes.
Okay.
All's good.
All is good. Does anybody else have any questions for this application?
I think the biggest concern would be what garage doors are going to be chosen, and then a little bit more information about the stone veneer, maybe.
Yeah, no, I think I agree with that, Dominic. I think that we could conditionally approve what's been submitted as long as they come back with the stone and the garage door. So they can get things rolling and just let us know what the garage door and stone is going to be in the next meeting.
That makes sense.
Because I'm generally comfortable with what they're presenting, and it's relatively complete. And the fact that they're putting real wood on a garage makes me very excited.
Yeah, that's fabulous.
Usually that's the first fight, is the vinyl siding, and we've already won that one.
Yeah, I'm okay with vinyl trim. Like if you do AZAC trim, that's great, and that's perfect.
Yeah, because the AZAC is paintable.
You're okay with it.
Once you paint the
You're
AZAC,
okay
it looks
with
like
the
wood. Yeah,
Okay, great.
because once you paint the AZAC, it looks just like wood. I mean, it's sometimes better. I mean,
Yeah.
you can put an MDO or an MDF up there, and it'll look great for a year, and then it looks like crap.
Exactly.
Okay. So, I mean, I think I would be comfortable making a conditional approval on what is submitted as long as they came back for what the garage door and the stone is. And let's add that man door on the side. We should probably see what that looks like too. Does everybody seem to agree with that?
Yes, I would agree.
Yeah. So I'll move that as my motion. Does anybody want a second?
I'll second.
Okay. All in favor?
Aye.
Anybody opposed? I should have opened this to the public, but we know there is no public, so I apologize for that. But with the motion approved on the table, I think we're good here. Thank you.
Wait, I have a question.
Oh, Nancy.
So my children grew up with an Eric Hahn that lived on Emerson. This isn't the same Eric Hahn, is it?
No, I grew up in Lebanon, New Jersey.
Oh, okay. Thanks.
But if it helps, I can be.
That's okay. I just wanted to reconnect if it was possible, because I love this Eric Hahn's mother.
Since they're coming back with the doors, the man door, the stone, and the garage doors, can you also provide the information on the roof just so we can verify it matches what's on the house? I think that's the last piece that we would need. But I mean, I think this gives you enough of an approval to get your ducks in a row to start building.
Yeah, that's great.
Is everybody else comfortable with that?
Yeah.
Yep.
Yes.
All right. How about you, Glenn? I want to get out of you.
Good. I'm walking over the metal detector.
All right. So the motion carries, and we have that done. So thank you very much.
Wonderful. Thank you all for your time, and I really appreciate this.
Great. Thanks.
Answer just real quick. We will have a meeting next month because we do have 2 applications already, one being an addition on the back of the house and another one. So we will have the same type of meeting. I think this went very well. Better than I expect, better than some of the other first meetings, as I think Ted could probably attest to.
Yeah, I think fortunately most of us have had enough WebEx meetings over the past 4 months that know the drill.
Bob LaCourte told me to say that there really wasn't anything to report on open space unless Ted has something to report.
I don't think they've met.
Yeah.
Okay, I don't think that there's any real new business that I have. So I suggest that we wrap this up and cut it short, unless anybody else has anything they want to report. So we have our next meeting on September 1st. Just a note, we did review a few applications through subcommittee. I summarized that for everybody in email so you were aware of what we did. You know, I pulled a Phil Murphy, and I did an executive order approval on one application, just so everybody is aware. And it was an above-ground pool in East Millstone that was behind the house. You're never going to see it. And I felt really bad holding up a pool for the summer with their kids. So they tugged at my heartstrings because, you know, I had the same situation here for my kids. So so I looked at the application and discussed it with Vince, and we gave them the approval to do that. Other than that, we're conducting business as normal.
I have a real quick question. My neighbor who approached me with her roof, you know, can that be subcommittee also once she submits the COA?
I could talk to Vince about that, but if we're going to have a regularly scheduled meeting, I think it's going to have to come to the regularly scheduled meeting now that we figured out a way to meet. I will say that we need to work on, as a group, a minor applications approval process for stuff like that. And I think that, you know, we've discussed that in the past, but now that things like roofs and siding don't have to come in for permits, things are happening much quicker in those arenas. So I think that we need a minor application approval process that requires, you know, a minimum 3-person subcommittee to make things consistent.
Could we decide that tonight? Because she would like to do this and get started in 2 weeks.
Well,
And it's not going to be dimensional. If Tom were on the committee, it's going to be.
I think we also have to be careful of the perspective of, if my neighbor's got a project, can we fast track them?
Yeah.
We need to be sure we stay consistent with, so nobody can point fingers later on, you know what I'm saying?
Wait, whoa. I don't think my application for the roof last year, no, it did come before the committee.
It did, yes.
Yeah.
What I'll say, Nancy, is we need to come up with a written policy that could be adopted as part of our bylaws in order to do that. And since we don't have a draft ready, I can't ask for the committee to make some kind of decision on that. But I can work on a draft policy revision to the bylaws for the next committee meeting. That way we could discuss it in greater detail. But I mean, on the surface, does everybody agree with that as in concept?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yes.
But no, great. And I will tell her she has to submit it for September 1st. However, one of the things, I've been on the committee longer than anybody here. And when I was drafted to be on the committee, I was drafted to be a representative of the Middlebush Historic Village. And so now all of a sudden it seems like the fact that I'm a resident of Middlebush, that my status of, or at least, you know, like saying I can't speak for Middlebush people.
No, I don't want to speak for Dominic, but I think what he was trying to say is that we don't have a policy in place yet, and we can't rush something through to satisfy this application. And I don't mean to put words in his mouth, but that's
Can I interject? And if there's like a pressing need, like maybe she has a leak, maybe Andrew can take this and do something quickly.
There is an 8-foot hole in her.
Okay, so Andrew, maybe we can form a quick subcommittee at this point based on that.
Okay, the 8-foot hole is in her garage. It's not in her house. But
So there is already a provision in our ordinance and our bylaws for emergent review. So get a little more information and give me a call and we can talk offline and see how emergent it is.
POA, and I will get more information.
Because if there's a reason that it's for the health, safety, and welfare of an occupant, we can do an emergent review that's done by either administrative review by myself or by subcommittee.
Yeah.
And Nancy, I didn't mean any offense by what I said. I'm just trying to think about the optics of someone else looking at what our process is and making sure that somebody can't point at the decision we made and say that was biased or something like that.
Right. No, I understand, but I present myself to the people here as I'm your representative on the Historic Preservation Committee.
Sure, no, that makes sense.
Yeah.
That's actually, I didn't know that, Nancy, and I think that's a great way for you to present yourself. I'm looking at you, Glad. You can see it.
I can see where you're going. I agree, though. A new chair,
Yeah, maybe David. I like it, and we had Barbara, who basically served as the East Millstone,
Right.
and I loved it. So no, that's great. And I think that you should be looking out for your community and talking to people. And just like I encourage anybody, if you see something that doesn't seem like it should be happening without an approval, send me an email and I report it to Vince and then we get it taken care of. Or we try and head it off in advance and say, oh, hey, I know you're about to do this. Do you know that you need to do X, Y, and Z?
Thanks. I'm going to introduce myself to the people who bought the Dunn property at Railroad Avenue.
Yeah. I know what we're talking about. That's a nice house.
Yeah, but I'm going to drop off a brochure. I have the brochures here.
I'm going to digress here for a second, but you know what I want? I want to know who I need to contact to get the crosswalk repainted at Railroad Avenue. Because we cross that street and people are going to run me over with a stroller. It's amazing how nobody stops, even if you have a stroller. It's disgusting.
It's the, it's the county. Yeah.
Yeah, and I'll call them and they'll never come out. But if I go out with a can of spray paint and do it myself, it's vandalism.
Well, so on that, Google, they are meeting on the 11th, and they have several projects on county roads for painting, for school stuff, for all types of things. So I don't know how you get to them, but that's, maybe the freeholders first, or Ted can, I don't know whose district or where that falls, but they are meeting on the 11th with a lot of that type of stuff on the agenda.
Interesting. Thanks for the heads up.
And I think it comes from the township.
The county was there surveying that corner for the ADA in terms of making the whatever it is, the cutout of the sidewalk ADA. But they
at Railroad?
At Railroad Avenue, yeah, they were there. But they need to do the painting too. Change the sidewalk.
Andrew, I would suggest that we're digressing a little bit. And this meeting is actually on the record, so it's probably best that unless we have something specific to end the meeting.
All right.
We can talk about these other items offline.
Yeah. So Vince, who should I call? No, I'm kidding.
Call the freeholder director. The freeholder director is from Franklin.
There you go. So with that being said, is there any other business? I think we're done.
Thank you, everyone. I'm going to send out, as soon as I get an application for the next meeting, I'm going to send it to everyone way in ahead of time because we're doing these virtual meetings. Like I have one now, and I'll send it out in the next day or so you'll have the whole month to look at it.
Good.
Sounds good.
All right.
Have a great day.
So a motion to adjourn. Do I have a second?
Second.
Okay.
We are adjourned.